Why Lil Wayne have to do Birdman like that?
Turk locked up for 9 years. Freshman cutting up. All right, let's go.
Some artists win charts. Legends win moments. For years, Lil Wayne owned both. But moments are changeable. Lately, the clips look colder than the plaques are shiny, and the most unforgiving critic isn't a blogger, it's a bored Section 9. If the myth says untouchable and the moment says prove it, which voice do we believe? Tonight we test the difference between influence and impact, and the gap isn't pretty. The first spark didn't come from critics, it came from phones. Grimy, shaky, ruthless. Clips popped up from Wayne's new tour, showing fans heading for the exits right as the set pivots into a rock-leaning stretch. The videos don't care about context, they just loop the same image, emptying rows, confused faces, and a legend still pushing through under the glare. Commentary channels pounced, stitching the clips into a story. Wayne's live game is over. Fan pages recycled the same angles. More phones, more exits, more takes. Some say the pacing dipped mid-show. Some fans claim the energy never recovered. Once the walkout label stuck, even strong nights got graded on a curve. Every yawn became proof, every lull became a headline. The crowd was now the chorus, and the chorus was singing doubt. What those clips really captured wasn't a number, it was a mood. The uneasy feeling that a myth can be questioned in real time, in front of 1,000 cameras, and that one shaky sequence can rewrite months of planning. And once that feeling takes hold, the next headline hits harder. There's a difference between not getting picked and getting passed over in your own backyard. That's how the halftime snub landed. Wayne didn't tiptoe around it, he talked about how deep it cut. The kind of disappointment that doesn't fade after a night's sleep. In later conversations, he went further, basically saying that window's closed for him now. Whether you call it pride or protection, the message was clear. If the biggest stage didn't want him when it mattered, he won't be standing in line for it later.
Dude, in Detroit, Lil Wayne turned his concert into a rock concert. Tell me why all the people started leaving out. He started getting mad. Dude, people were just showing it all over the internet saying that they didn't pay for this. Man, what's up?
Why did that hit so hard? Because the halftime stage isn't just a gig, it's a coronation. It says your music isn't only historic, it's current. For someone who built an entire era, being left off felt like the industry telling him his moment was museum glass, not living flame. Fans split instantly. One side said it was blatant disrespect to a pioneer. The other shrugged, the culture moves fast, stages go to whoever has the hottest pulse right now. Then came the comparisons. Timelines threw up side-by-side narratives. Another superstar riding a wave of city-size momentum versus Wayne voicing how the decision broke him. Fair or not, it made his honesty read like a bruise the internet wouldn't stop pressing. Rumors suggest that's when some supporters started to worry. Not about the catalog, but about the aura. If the room feeds off confidence, what happens when your hero admits the stage he wanted most isn't happening? Here's the twist. That same candor also made him human. A lot of day ones heard those quotes and respected the vulnerability. They saw a competitor bleeding and still showing up. But in the court of public opinion, vulnerability can get re-edited into weakness. And once that edit sticks, every new clip gets watched through a harsher lens. Which is why the next checkpoint mattered so much. If the halftime door slammed, the album had to blow another one open. Thought Carter 6 was up next, and the numbers would force the conversation to get real. June 6, 2025, The Carter 6 finally lands, heavy rollout, big features, playlist ready, the kind of date that circles itself on the calendar. The opening week looks good on paper, high debut, strong streams, loud chatter. For most artists, that ends the debate. For Wayne, it only split it. Day ones heard flashes of the sniper they grew up on. Casuals said the magic flickered, then wandered. The album became a Rorschach test. What you already believed about Wayne is what you heard. Fans argued about sequencing like it was a playoff game. Some loved the left turns, the risk, the stubborn confidence. Others said the energy lurched, the features blurred, and the highs never stacked long enough to feel inevitable. Reports claimed certain tracks hit harder live, others felt heavier on headphones. That's not unusual, but this time the margin for error felt razor thin. With the halftime bruise still fresh, every chorus got graded like it was a thesis defense.
We appreciate it, but we ain't about to be bending over backwards for these folks. We worked too hard for this. We worked way too hard. This hard, this album, that was Twist, that was that. We more Young Money. We appreciate y'all time.
Then there was the expectation tax. A Carter album isn't just music, it's a moment measured against a stack of classics. Even a solid project lives in the shadow of giants. So when the timelines didn't agree, the noise got louder than the notes. Rumors suggest the team hoped the tour would stitch the album together, turn question marks into exclamation points, knit new cuts to old anthems so the narrative flips in real time. But that only works if the show behaves like glue. And that's where the next problem took center stage. Not songs, but sequence. A catalog this deep should be cheat codes. But live shows aren't libraries, they're rides. The order of the drops matters more than the size of the discography. Wayne owned stadium-proof anthems, A Milli, Fireman, 6 Foot, 7 Foot, Uproar, hooks and verses that flip muscle memory on. Yet a mountain of hits can still feel scattered if the sequence doesn't tell a story. That story lives in the middle of a set. Open strong, close stronger. Everyone knows that. The danger is the center stretch, where stamina, BPM, and breath control collide. If energy dips there, you don't just lose the moment, you lose the room's trust. And once trust slides, even a classic can feel like a reminder instead of a revelation. Some say the momentum breaks right where the show should be peaking. A rock-leaning detour, a couple of less familiar cuts, then a slow climb that never quite reconnects. Unverified clips lean into that angle. Some nights look welded together, others look stitched with mismatched thread. It's not about genre purity, it's about architecture. The room reads arrangement. The room reads tempo and confidence between songs as loudly as the songs themselves. Crowd psychology is simple, keep them saying oh every 90 seconds. Stack transitions so the last syllable of one hook smashes into the first drum of the next. Tight medleys can turn deep cuts into jet fuel if they're framed between monsters. Long banter, cold stops, or key changes that fight the vocal pocket, that's how air leaks out. Even legends can't out-argue a flattened wave. There's another trap. Too much respect for the discography. When you try to give every era equal shine, you risk turning a headline set into a museum tour. The fix isn't to abandon the new, it's to context the new.
So then Wayne comes out, right? So I was worried he was gonna forget the bars, the lines. He forgot the melodies of his own songs, right? Every song that he performed was this like choppy version of the song that I knew and loved, right?
One minute of a fresh record inside a medley can land harder than 4 minutes on an island. Let the classics carry the weight while the new ideas flash like lightning between them. Fans also grade intent. If the band surges, the DJ cuts clean, and Wayne pounces on downbeats, the room forgives experiments. If the pacing hesitates, experiments feel like tests the crowd never signed up to take. Fans claim that's where the friction lives this run. Not in song choice alone, but in how choices talk to each other. But perception decides whether phones point at the stage or the exit. The brutal irony, this is the most fixable problem in live music. Small moves, compress mid-set valleys, convert 2 solo tracks into a 60-second medley, drop a familiar hook as a bridge can flip a narrative in one weekend. Legends don't need a new catalog to win the room, they need a new sequence. But the pressure weighing on this sequence isn't just about tonight's noise, it's about the expectation that comes with a dynasty. Young Money's shadow, the crown he forged, and a 2025 spotlight that demands more than nostalgia. Dynasties don't just make stars, they set standards. Young Money isn't a logo, it's a memory of summers, radio runs, and the feeling that one camp could bend the whole culture. That crown cuts both ways. In 2025, fans don't just want Wayne to perform, they want him to conduct, to stitch eras together, to make the past feel present and the present feel inevitable. That's the tension humming under every chorus. People didn't buy tickets for a museum tour, they came for a movement. They expected the general to call plays. An opener that detonates nostalgia, a modern pivot that proves he still owns pace, maybe even a torch pass moment that says the family business is still booming. When the show leans inward instead, personal picks, left turns, long detours, the room starts asking whether the night is for the artist or for the crowd. Reports claim even day ones are split. Some love the stubbornness, Wayne chasing his ear, not the algorithm.
And even though he got bars, yo, I'm convinced this man punches in and punches out every bar. Performing and recording are two different things, right? And you would think that like it don't take that much to perform rap songs, but it does. It does.
Others want a shared memory, not a private playlist. And when the internet overlays that with the halftime brews, the read gets harsher. If the industry said not now, then the show has to shout now back with ruthless clarity. Anything less feels like a concession. Young Money's shadow adds another layer. That tree changed careers, radio formats, and headliner math. Fans expect Wayne to weaponize that legacy on stage. Surprise cameos, smart segues, a mini label review hidden inside the set. Not because he needs help, but because the myth always included the army. When the night stays solo, the timeline treats it like a missing chapter. There's also the 2025 attention curve. Crowds are trained by feeds, big hooks every 90 seconds, edits that never breathe. Wayne's mixtape DNA loves long builds, pocket switches, inside jokes. That still works if the sequence translates barcraft into bite-sized jolts. If it doesn't, deep cuts feel deeper, and the room's patience thins before the next explosion. Add the optics. Some claim the current team favors engineering the brand over curating the moment, clean rollouts, messy rooms. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe it's just how clips erase context. Either way, audiences grade intent. If they feel guided, tight transitions, confident pacing, a nod to the family tree, they forgive experiments. If they feel abandoned, experiments read like errors. None of this is betrayal. It's pressure. The privilege and cost of building a dynasty. The same crown that once made every move feel monumental now demands that every night prove it still is. When that proof wobbles, the narrative writes itself. And that's the fuel for the whispers. Is this a pivot or the prelude to an exit? Let's separate facts from rumors. The Carter 6 is out, charted high, and Wayne is actively touring. Whatever the timeline says, that's not the posture of someone already gone. Also, he said the Super Bowl door is closed for him now. That's emotional truth, not an exit announcement. Some fans believe he's considering stepping back after this run, citing the tone of recent interviews and the tour discourse. Reports claim the rock detour is Wayne chasing a different creative itch, not a surrender. Others think it's a misread of the room. Both readings can be true. Artists evolve, crowds don't always come along. That collision looks messy in real time. And if you want a case study in momentum, look at how the internet frames the contrast. Kendrick's live moment as a city-scaled celebration versus Wayne's as a referendum. Different arcs, different optics. So where does that leave the legend? Here's the quiet truth. This is fixable, not with PR, but with show design. Open with inevitability. Fire a 3-song salvo that no section can resist. No speeches, no throat clearing. 30 seconds from house lights to first hook. Momentum before meaning. Push the rock detour into a controlled bridge, not a block. One hybrid track, one clever mash. Back to a smash. If the room's with you, extend. If not, pivot. Sequence the middle like a mixtape medley. Wayne's greatest live weapon is density. Stack hooks and punch-ins, keep each segment under 90 seconds until the crowd is roaring again. Lock a surprise guest circuit in key cities. Even one elite cameo flips the narrative overnight. Breathe control and band discipline. Keep BPM lurches rare. Avoid long banter. Let the drums carry transitions so energy never craters. Do that for 2 viral nights and the same accounts that snip the exits will clip the returns. But there's one more turn to this story. Albums win weeks. Rooms win eras. Legends don't fade because they stop being great. They fade when they stop translating that greatness to the people in front of them. Right now, tonight. Wayne's catalog still owns a generation. The pen didn't vanish. The influence didn't evaporate. What slipped, if only for a moment, was the thread that ties an artist's heartbeat to 1,000 strangers at once. And threads can be tied again. Maybe the lights go black and the silence asks the same old question. Maybe the answer isn't a speech or a tweet or a headline. Maybe it's just the drop of a familiar beat, the first line everyone knows by muscle memory, and the roar that says, yes, you still matter. Because legends don't retire, rooms decide, and there's still time to make every door that closes open again.